How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome.
Where are you calling from?
St. John's, Newfoundland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Still living out there?
Oh, yeah.
How come? Well, let's actually start the interview there. How come you decided to stay there? How come you never felt the need to move to? You guys are a big band to move to a bigger city for the music business.
That's a really good question. We just love it here. This is where our home is, and this is where our families are, and our goal from the beginning, like many Newfoundlanders, was to try to find a way to make work for ourselves so we could stay here. And it's funny, in all the traveling and all the places and cool places we've gone, it's never really even occurred to me to live anywhere else.
It's the only province I haven't been to, so I'm wondering what compares to it.
There are parts of Newfoundland that are similar to parts of Canada, but St. John's is, on the east coast, and it was really a British place more than a Canadian place. And it's only been a Canadian place for 50 or 60 years.
Right.
It was a British place for a few hundred years before that. So it's more, it has more in common with coastal England and coastal Ireland than it does with the rest of Canada or North America, to be honest.
Well, even the sound of your band comes from that, I would think. Now, the mold's kind of being broken with the new bands from St. John's, like Hey Rosetta. They're not sounding, well, like you guys at all, for that matter. But what is the scene there? Is it more your sound? Is it more this new indie rock that's coming out of there?
There's always been a mix of both. Like the thing that's really cool and exciting about the Newfoundland music scene right now is how diverse it is, and I wouldn't be celebrating that if those diverse bands were all really good. I'd be going like, yeah, wow, guess what? We got heavy metal bands, but they're not any good. But like, we actually right now there's a vocal traditional group called The Once who are fantastic, like world class, amazing. There's an instrumental band from Newfoundland, a traditional band called the Dardanelles, who are world class, fantastic. Hey Rosetta are fantastic, and Amelia Curran won a Juno last year,
right?
With her gal,
yeah.
There's just so much cool young. Everyone I just mentioned is, half my age probably. So it's an exciting time.
Have you thought about producing any of them? I know you did Russell's record and you did the one. You've only produced one Great Big Sea record, haven't you?
Yeah, we did a couple. Well, we did the first one together, and we did our traditional record together.
Right.
And a few others. Yes, I have thought about producing them all the time. The time is always the issue, and I mean, some of the bands I could probably see myself, helping out. I'm not sure that there's much. There's much I could teach Tim from Hey Rosetta.
Right.
He's a superstar, man, and they all are in their own right. So I'd be honored to get a chance to work with any of them, but who knows?
Right. Well, you've worked with a lot of people. This new disc's got a lot of co-writes on it. Safe Upon the Shore.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great fun, man.
What made you bring all these people into, like Joel Plaskett, Randy Bachman, Paul Lamb from a band called Crush that people might remember?
Oh, just fun, great fun. We had a chance to, over the last few years, at different times, we wrote a song with Randy or Russell or whoever, and then we made this little retreat, this little writers retreat for ourselves in Western Newfoundland for a week. Myself and John and Bob and Joel Plaskett, Paul, Gene O'Brien, and Jeremy Fisher. And we all gathered out there for a week just to write songs, and we wrote like 14 songs in 5 days, and that 5 or 6 of them made the record. So it was just a great time, like a great kind of reward, I suppose, a little luxury we afforded ourselves.
Do you feel like you enjoy writing with people more? Because I assume in the beginning you want to write your own songs, right? You want to be the songwriter.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never had that bug. I've always wanted. I'm a collaborator more than anything, and I've written a bunch of songs on my own, but I don't know, I get such a kick out of sitting in a room with other people doing it, and I feel way more confident about a song if it's written by more than one person. And not a lot of people share that, but that's just, I don't know, I've always been a guy who wanted to be in a band. I always wanted someone else in the room,
Fair. Is that maybe why Sean's singing? I feel like Sean's singing a lot more lead recently.
Certainly, yeah. Well, Sean has become a really prolific writer as well, and so he's had a lot of really, really good songs lately. Mm-hmm. And he's got a couple of one solo record out and another one about to come out that are just. I think when we sat down to do the Safe Upon the Shore record, I think Sean offered 54 songs.
Wow.
And man, I tell you, like a lot of them are really good. So he's just Sean is a serious weapon. is a serious gun.
There's a couple of covers on there, too. It's funny that you do Gallows Pole, the Zeppelin tune, and then you have a song on the record called Over the Hills and Far Away that is not the Zeppelin song.
That's right. Yeah, the Zeppelin tune, the sort of cover or whatever, the Gallows Pole tune, was kind of suggested to us by a friend once. And, you know, it was another way to highlight Sean's freakishly high voice. And and sort of, we kind of, in a bit of research, we found that the Gallows Pole is one of the oldest traditional songs there is, you know. It's a folk song from, you know, the last couple of centuries over in Europe. And oddly enough, it's, you know, it was a European song that made its way to the American culture. I think it was recorded in the 20s or 30s by the Lead Belly dude.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and that's most likely where Page and Plant would have heard it from his version, you know, in the blues tradition.
Right. Is there any lute on this record? I heard you had to learn lute for the Robin Hood film.
I did learn the lute, and yes, there is lute on one track.
Oh, really?
I think, yeah, of course.
Well, I guess if you know the instrument, why wouldn't you throw it in there? Are you thinking about...
Not much of a stretch, really. I mean, we play bazookies, and we play, you know, I mean, if you're starting to play weird dulcimers and you know, that kind of thing, I mean, a lute becomes pretty common, really.
I guess so. It's true. Still a stringed instrument at the end of the day.
We have a guy who plays button accordion upside down and backwards.
Are you thinking about putting out a lute record like Sting?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I'm not that advanced on it yet, I confess. Although it would be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. So, well, tell me about this Robin Hood experience, because that must have been extremely different for you. And I heard you left straight from the Junos when we all saw you perform with Hawk, and then flew right to set.
That's exactly what happened. It was a surreal journey, man. It was like getting a chance to walk in someone else's shoes for 6 months almost, you know. Like I did all the stuff that all those guys do for a living, you know. I got in shape and learned to do archery and fight training and horse riding and, you know, do accent training and learn my lines and, you know, do all that stuff that friends of mine do all the time, you know. But it was just such a cool opportunity to something with the best people in the world at it, you know. It was like getting to play a shift of hockey with Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Is it something you'd want to do again?
Oh, definitely. You know, I really would. I'd love to be a part of, especially something that big. My God, it was like you can't imagine the culmination of artistic labor comes together to make a single frame of that. Like, it's just every day it was amazing to watch either one of the other actors or to watch, you know, the set designers or the horse trainers or the stunt guys or the anything. You know, every day it was like a miracle.
How does the collaborative process differ from making a record with a band and a producer and I guess the studio execs that have a say at the end of the day and everything like that?
Well, how do you mean? How is it different?
Yeah, well, or how does it compare, the process of making a record as to making a film? I know they're very different, but I feel like they're still collaborative efforts at the end of the day.
Yes, they are similar in that there's somebody's or some group of people's passion to tell a story, you know, and then to do their own bit of art. And I said, like, in order for a record to be successful and to be good and to be successful, like, you know, a couple of dozen things need to fall together. You know, like it needs to have good writing, and it needs to be well performed, and it needs to be well captured, and then it needs to be well packaged, and it needs to be well sold, and whatever. You know, there's a couple of dozen things that need to happen.
Right.
I think for a movie to be good and successful, there's 240 things that need to come together, or 2,400. You know, it's a miracle that a good movie ever gets made. It's got to be the most intense art form there is, right? I mean, every single discipline is going on there, right? All the technical stuff, all the writing, all the performance stuff, and all the visual artists that takes to make a single frame of a medieval picture look proper, believable. You know, it's a miracle, man. It's a miracle.
Must be interesting to play a theater for you guys, because I don't know. I saw you at Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto a couple years ago outside, and it was a big party atmosphere, people dancing, and you don't really get that in a theater. But I guess these new records are a little more mellow, so maybe it does work for you guys.
Well, we've always done theaters, you know, like even since like our first little step outside the pubs of Newfoundland were to play the theaters of Atlantic Canada and stuff like that, and we always knew that we could do that kind of thing, and we had songs that were poignant enough that if we had a listening audience that we could give them something to listen to, you know, and that's one of the joys of being in a band like Great Big Sea, is that I think we can play anywhere. I honestly think we could. Like, we can do a pub, or we could do a hockey rink, or we can do a rock festival, or a folk festival, or we can do this most posh theater in the city. And not many bands get to do that.
No, fair enough. And you guys are big enough that you're going to sell out these theaters. And like you said, songs like, I don't know, Clearest Indication would do marvels in a theater, right?
It's a great thing to be able to, like, because a big part of what we do is a cappella singing, you know, and you can really, really highlight some of the quieter a cappella songs in the theater the way you can't really do it in a pub or in a, you know, it's a bunch of ballers or whatever. But I mean, we do a song or two off mic and everything in the theater sometimes, and it's just magic, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'd be cool. Donkey riding would be cool, off mic and just with the little what is that little drum that you guys have? What's that called? Baron. Speaking of the live show, do you still remember the words to "End of the World"? Can you still remember every single word?
Not sure I ever knew it, but
fair enough.
Not sure I ever knew it.
It's not an easy song.
I just said a bunch of stuff in some protest kind of way, and it felt appropriate.
Sounds good. There's something people did not know. That's awesome. I'd love to get some storytellers bits from you if you don't mind. Just, you know, some quick words on a few songs, and let's start with Clearest Indication because we just mentioned that one.
Clearest Indication is a song that myself and Sean wrote with our friend Chris Trapper, if I remember correctly, and it was primarily about not knowing what was coming next. We were at a time in our music career where we weren't sure what was happening, and at the same time, it was kind of about a couple of the guys' relationships and about how, you know, when times are confusing, you need someone to turn to that gives you a really clear answer and a certainty that you can't get anywhere else. And that's what the Clearest Indication's about.
How did the Referendum Line come into play in that song?
Well, we just got jamming about different points in relationships or countries or bands' history that were uncertain. And if you grew up in a place like Newfoundland, the political uncertainty has kind of lived here our whole existence. And, you know, when we kind of came up with the whole lyric of the 51-49 thing, which was the Confederation vote in Newfoundland. It also, you know, I think most Canadians assume we were talking about the National Quebec referendum.
Yeah, I did. I guess not.
And we weren't. No.
Look at that.
It's a great coincidence that works as well. But
yeah.
No, it was about, in 1949, the vote to join Canada was 51-49.
Ordinary Day. It's got a very Who sounding. Even the harmonies sound like the Who.
Oh, thank you. Ordinary Day, myself and Sean wrote in, I think, 1994, right after we got signed. Maybe it was 1995, right after we got signed to Warner, and started writing this song that I wanted to capture the kind of essence of the sort of stereotypical Newfoundland optimism. You know, that whole thing of if you live on a rock in the middle of the ocean, you become really adept at dealing with hard times. And you travel around North America, and you quickly meet other people that don't deal very well with hard times. And you learn that you come from a resilient place. And it was a really simple piece of kind of, you know, advice, for lack of a better word, for everyone. It's like, guys, I know this sounds like it's rough, but it's not rough at all.
And the new one, Nothing But a Song.
Nothing But a Song is a song that Sean and I wrote about a fight that he and I had. We got on, we were flying from St. John's to Vancouver for something, I don't remember what it was. And we didn't have to play that evening, but we got, fortunately or unfortunately, bumped up to business class and started drinking immediately.
Of course.
We were doing fine when we St. John's to Toronto, but somewhere between Toronto and Vancouver, something went amiss, and I don't remember what it was. Trust me, I wish I could tell you what the topic of the argument was, but I know that I was right.
Of course.
Of course. And I just remember us sort of going to bed that night, having not solved the racket, and like a marriage or something, we almost never do that. And when I got up in the morning, there was this sort of apologetic email / kind of poem thing from Sean and that's verbatim the first verse of the song. You know, a brother can be difficult, you know, that kind of thing. And so then I wrote effectively the entire second group of verses there, back as kind of thing, and then we said, we had to finish it now, and off we went, and we had a great song, I thought. What's
next for you? I mean, you said Sean's got a solo disc. What about you? You have a solo disc in the works?
I haven't started it yet, but yes.
Oh.
But I'm going to throw some songs together this year over. I mean, I hope it will take the form of a finished record, but it might be something different. You know, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm recording a bunch of solo songs over the next 6 months, different places.
And I hear we can expect a new Russell Crowe disc as well that you worked on?
Russell and I have been working on a movie that has a lot of music in it.
Oh, okay.
It's been in development for a couple of years now, and it's still in development. And But that will surface sometime, I hope, in the next little while. But I couldn't, in that big movie world, I couldn't tell you exactly when it was. My finger's not that close to the button.
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
in those meetings.
Before I let you go,
I know a guy. That's what.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Before I let you go, we do something on the show called 5 Questions. 5 quick questions, 1-word answers.
Do it.
Road or studio?
Road.
Lennon or McCartney?
Lennon and McCartney.
Yeah.
Lennon and McCartney.
Which one?
Lennon and McCartney.
No, man. Choose one. Come on.
No, I can't do it.
All right. Fine.
It's a cop out.
All right. Most important thing in a song: lyrics, melody, or rhythm?
Lyrics for me.
Song you've written you're most proud of?
Ordinary Day.
Cool. I'm going to throw this one in as a bonus question because I think a lot of people want to know. What's your favorite beer?
Guinness.
All right. And one word, Great Big Sea.